Hey guys, this is Bobby Davis from the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. It's another beautiful but cold day here, and I've got a special guest here. We'll see him in a second, Danny Thompson. But first and foremost, the best producer on the land, Kevin Doyle. Hey Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, I'm awesome.
All right, man. Good. Rocking the CF hat this morning. I like it.
I am. I'm fully branded up today. I got my hoodie on. I got my hat on. I'm all branded up.
Yeah, gotta rip the merch.
I have a question for chat. Can you all see me okay? Can you see us okay in the video? Because I'm getting a weird thing from YouTube where I'm not quite seeing the right thing on YouTube. If it looks weird, let me know. If not, we're good to go. I don't know. My preview might just be bad.
Okay,
so we're going to talk about a few things, but I'm going to bring Danny on first.
Yeah, let's bring Danny Thompson on. Danny, he's super famous, so glad to have Danny on. What's up, Danny?
I have to come in with like a little interesting, opening and all that. I got to be a little different.
I like it. Thanks for joining us today. I know you are super busy.
Yeah,
honestly,
thanks for coming.
Of all the talks that I give and all the people that I talk with, Coder Foundry always has a special place in my heart. I think this is like my third or fourth time being here, and I hope it soon turns to 300 or 400. So we'll stick around.
Definitely. Thank you.
And I think we hadn't talked about this a little bit, but I think I'm coming to a meetup you're doing at the end of the month. Am I still doing that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. I just approached you about this, so I hope you didn't change your mind so fast. But yes.
Not at all.
We're definitely doing a meetup. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm a big believer in meetups. I think they're worth their weight in gold. And if you find a good meetup, wherever you are in the world, you should definitely find a meetup. And like right now, a lot of meetups are online. I have a meetup group called GDG Memphis, and we try to bring developers interesting topics, interesting speakers, but it's also an opportunity to network and meet other developers.
Yeah.
But also, if you know developers at a meetup, a lot of developers know other developers. And when you start networking, they're going to network with you. They may mention you to someone else, and that produces way more opportunities than just going to listen to a tech talk.
Right.
So I think meetups are very valuable.
Yeah, I think the social aspect of it is way overlooked. It's not just about going to pick up something. It's about who's going to sit next to you and what you're going to talk about with that guy.
I will say this. I was talking to the staff this morning, telling them I was doing this, and I was saying that, the cool thing about COVID, if anything good came out of COVID, is I can do a meetup with Memphis from my office. So before, it would have been like, can you get out of here? Can you, like, man, I got to get on a plane.
You could, but you're like $5,000 in.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think I'll skip. And now it's like, it's super easy, especially tech talks. You know how this is, Danny. I'm sitting there at my desk. I got all my monitors, all my stuff set up. I don't have to pack it up and get it somewhere. And I think it's really cool. So I'm excited 100%. To talk about .NET. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that's going to be a good talk. But I'll tell you this, that, before COVID, we were doing meetups. And when I first started going to meetups, it was like this, Memphis wasn't really like a huge, like people going to meetups. We had a meetup community. It was usually about the same 5 or 10 people going to the same meetups. And when I started going, I saw like, oh, this could be a little different, and we could probably target a whole different sector of people to come. And the last meetup we had before COVID locked everything down, we were 250 people in a meetup room.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And that was a MongoDB meetup. I convinced MongoDB to come out and do a meetup with us. Not only did they come out, to be honest, it was a hard one. I chased them for like 6 months to make that happen. And I had to like give them reassurances because apparently they did like a ton of meetups before and it didn't do well. So they only focused on like a couple meetups like in their area. But I guaranteed them some things, and not only did we hit that guarantee, we exceeded it, and they flew like a whole team out from Atlanta to come give a talk, and it was phenomenal. It was great. Everyone had an amazing time. MongoDB loved it. We loved it, and that was our last in-person meetup that we built that community up. Well, now we're doing online meetups, and we're still getting 50 to 100 developers in a meetup, and these are people from lower level that are beginners to professionals in the field, and everyone's interacting, and that cohesion, that interaction, that bringing the two sectors together, developers love it because they're like getting their sense of mentorship and helping others out. Beginners love it because they're networking, but they're also getting pointers from people they probably never would get from. Like I used to go to meetups with code as a beginner, and I would let them rip apart my code. I would make notes, and then I'd go to that next meetup fixing that program, and then seeing like, is this good enough now? And those are my first introductions to code reviews, and it's helped me out way more than I could ever imagine.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So, Well, hopefully we can bring the goods at the end of the month. I may bring some
think
instructors
so.
with me too. So like there
you
may be 3 or 4 people.
Don't let Jason on this thing. He's gonna sorry, Jason.
So I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we may bring in a team, and then we may flip some stuff back and forth, all from our Zoom platform, where we just have one camera, but we can shift people around. So it should be kind of cool.
Absolutely, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into Q&A, we are going to do a Q&A today.
All right, cool.
So we'll do what we normally do. You guys can ask questions, throw them in the chat. We're going to talk about a couple of things first, though. First thing we're going to talk about, it's sad for some of us. It's not so
sad for Danny.
It's not sad for Danny. It might be sad for Bobby. I don't know. But I don't think Ram's here. Should we wait for Ram? No. We're not going to wait for Ram.
So, Danny, you don't know this. If you haven't been watching last week, we've had this guy Ram on, and he said, "Dude, why are we talking about GameStop all the time?" I thought it was a coding channel, and so it's been a running joke that we have to show him the price quote for GameStop.
Yeah.
So,
and I've actually been speaking with Ram on Discord too. By the way, he joined the Discord channel, which awesome. Ram, I said that. Thank you for supporting us. So he joined us on Discord, and I've been looking at some of his work on Discord. We've been talking about some of his projects. That's cool. Yeah. We're going to talk about the sort of the. Oh, is this a pun? If I use the gorilla in the room.
The gorilla in the room. Look at these hands; they're made of diamonds. Diamond hands. Danny's got paper hands. Danny's got paper hands.
Yeah, I'll take it.
But look, that cash is paper, though. That bag is made out of paper.
That's exactly.
Because here's where Danny sold. Look, right here, like somewhere here, right? You sold right, probably right here, right?
That's kind of where I bought in.
This is where Bobby's holding.
Yeah, I'm holding down here my diamonds at $66.
I think at least in Bobby's situation, he didn't go crazy like some people have gone.
No.
And I think one thing that people lost sight of, number one, I'll be completely honest, this stock has made me very depressed for a couple things. I think we all knew the system was rigged, but I don't think we realized to what degree.
Yeah.
And this has opened up the eyes of the average individual to things that they probably weren't exposed to before. And I think that alone is probably worth a lot in terms of maybe whatever you lost. It's definitely been an education. But I think the other thing, it's exposed a whole section of people to investing that have never invested before.
Definitely. That
Which
for sure.
I think it's very valuable. I definitely think Robinhood should go straight to hell. And I'm sorry for saying that.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Shady, man. Too shady.
Yes. If there's still a platform that exists in a year from now, I'll be so disappointed with the whole universe. But they did some things that are beyond questionable for whatever reason. That now, originally, he gave an interview saying it wasn't a liquidity issue, to which it was actually a liquidity issue. They didn't have money. And they hid that fact. So I understand to some degree why he took away the buying power, but at the time that they announced it, it was perfect for the hedge funds. Yes. But I think one thing that people lost sight of is there was a squeeze that was supposed to be squoze and all this good stuff, right? Yeah. Well, you took a $4 stock to almost $500. Yeah. But I think people were losing sight of the fact that it needs to hit 4 digits for us to say this is the squeeze. I think he got halfway there, and I think that's where I think it probably could have hit that if Robinhood didn't do all that and all that good stuff. But I think at that time, that was the squeeze. And I think people are saying, no, it still hasn't happened yet. I think it did.
Yeah, it went to the moon. It was around $483 when it went to the moon. So like it
had its peak.
Yeah, people thinking that wasn't the moon, but from $4 to $483 is to the moon. So
you can see right there. I saw in my own eyes it went from $490 to $120. And once it started going back up, I think that should have been for everybody. Be like, okay, this is our chance to cash in now. And people are like, no, we're hitting 10,000, we're hitting 5,000. And it went from being, okay, this is an investment where there's sound due diligence, there's sound metrics and reasoning to this, to where it's like, no, we're a cult, and if you don't die together, you aren't a part of this. And I'm sorry, I'm not in that. Like, I'm not going to go to that level. And I think people really lost sight of that.
Yeah, full disclosure, I don't mind people telling me. I have 5 shares in GameStop, so I don't have a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I bought in at $280 something, and it went up that same day, and I just didn't sell it because I'd only had it for 8 hours. I'm like, I could have sold it then today and made money, but like, I'm like, no, I'm just see what happens. This thing's, and then, I'm at 66 now. So
that's funny.
I'm a long-term play in GameStop now. I really like the stock, diamond hands.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Like in seriousness, I do think they have a long-term play that can change the shape of the business. They just appointed 3 new executives to the team, one of which used to be the engineering lead for AWS.
Yep.
And I think if they follow the metric of we're no longer console-driven and novelty purchase, because that's their business model.
Yeah.
You come in for a game, we get you with these novelty pop heads and stuff like that, trying to get revenue. And I think the actual focus should have been for a long time, we serve consoles, but the whole gaming PC market that we've shunned should be something that we're focusing on now. That's their new pivot. We're going to have all the custom PC parts. We're going to have, the 380s and 390s that people can't get. Exactly. We're going to compete with Newegg on an online and a brick and mortar platform. Right. And I think that is the play that they should have made a long time ago. And I think that's going to be the play that takes them to a triple-digit stock in real life as opposed to just a novelty.
Yeah, and I think you're right, though, because like buying the PC parts, if you're into PC gaming, it's like you can go to Amazon, you can go to Newegg, but you got to wait. But they have all these brick and mortar stores. If you can just hop out and get your new graphics card, there's benefit to that.
Yep.
So we'll see.
mean, even right now with the 380s and 390s, it's like you got to kill 3 people to get 1 card, right?
Exactly.
Like, if you can have that line at a brick and mortar, you forget about it.
Yeah, and then you can't even get one. It's like it is one of those things. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like it's the same with buying the consoles right now. It's like
RAM is here.
The Ram's here.
Here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the brand ambassadors of GameStop.
RAM, you missed it, man. I was trying to tell them to get out, but
you got a shout out early on, RAM. But okay. So let's GameStop.
We're done with GameStop. It's crashed. It's over.
We're done. So let's talk about one other thing. Then I will get to Q&A again. We'll do that. I promise. We'll just spend the first few minutes here talking about something else. So next thing to talk about is instead of going to the moon with the stock, actually kind of going to the moon. Not quite the moon.
Yes.
Space.
So I like that transition.
This is Elon Musk's thing. So you can basically, if you're a civilian, you can make a donation to St. Jude, or you can start a shift for shop, which we'll talk about in a second, which is what we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. You can do that, and you get a chance to go in their first civilian or all-civilian space shuttle, like with this basically a billionaire as your. If you come down here somewhere, there's a picture of this guy here somewhere. Here you go with this guy, Jared, who is a billionaire who was paid to go on this thing as your captain, I guess. I don't know, your leadership.
Okay.
Kind of crazy.
It's interesting, and if their last mission didn't result in the whole fucking thing blowing up, I would be all for it.
We talked about this morning. I was like, I would totally be in for this, and I'm okay with donating to St. Jude. I don't think I'd go. The one blew up yesterday, right?
It blew up yesterday. That's on the landing, though. You'll get you there. We might not get you back.
You just can't get back. No, I said exactly the same thing. I'm like, that's just, kind of crazy.
To be honest, I'll be honest, I think it's a very novel thing. To be honest, could you imagine, and I love this, right? Obviously, I'm crazy about motivation or whatever, but it always brings me back to one thing. And I was actually just talking to my son, who's almost 8 years old, about this the other day, because he had said to me, I'd given an idea, and I'll be honest, it's a little crazy, right? It's a little out there. And he said, that's a crazy idea. And I said, there was somebody laying on the ground one day staring up at the heavens and said, I belong up there. And that was absolutely insane, because people said if God wanted you to fly, he would have given you that belief, that ability the day you were born. It wasn't meant for us. And this crazy guy and his brother decided to go out and make this crazy contraption out of a bike and some wood, and they flew. Before that moment, that was the most insane thing in the world.
Yeah.
And they made that crazy thing happen. And I always tell people, just because you have a vision, you can't seek validation from someone else because they can't see what you see. I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, but if you saw what I saw, you'd be up at 4 o'clock in the morning typing right next to me, but you don't see it. So I have to bring that vision to life for you to feel what I feel, for you to see what I see. And when I do that, now you get excited.
Yeah, I think Nelson Mandela said it best when he says, it's impossible until it's not. And so like it's just so impossible that you can't see this thing until it's not. And then everyone's like, oh, that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
I like that.
That's what I like about this, that it's this illustrious idea that space is a place that is only destined for a few people within our lifetime to actually visit. Yeah. And I love the idea that we're removing that barrier slowly but surely as we make it more feasible for others. I do think maybe sometime in the future, if we don't destroy this earth by then, that many people would be going into space and checking things out. But I love really think about that for a second. Leaving all the confines of this entire earth behind you as you head into the heavens, like the area where people just contemplate what is there. Like, you know how we have movies back in the day, like, Total Recall, where you remove the helmet and the whole head explodes. We don't really know for ourselves what happens out there. And to actually go into that area and be surrounded by no gas stations, no quick fast food, none of the things that we've been accustomed to. I think it's an insane, crazy, but probably like it would make your heart race beyond reasoning to actually be out there.
Yeah. This is going to happen this year. I mean, they're sending this mission this year. This is going to happen. This is the thing.
They better do some more Tesla.
I'm not getting on that thing, man.
I know. I'm not on it either. But here's the thing. So you can still, even if, donating to St. Jude is a great thing, you can do that too. But look at the other way that they did this too. Look, let me remove this.
You can write some code.
You can make a basically so this platform is like a kind of a Shopify competitor, I guess. They're encouraging you to like start your own business on this thing, to start a shop. It's free. You can sign up for this thing. You can start a free store. I'm like, that's genius. This is great. This is super good. It's not necessarily coding, but it's like, you can do some stuff. You can edit the HTML and CSS directly in it, so you can at least play with it a little bit. It's a good place to play around. I'm guessing they're like a sponsor of this. That's why this is here and they're doing this. But I think it's cool pushing people into that side of like creating an e-commerce site too is sort of an entry point into being in this, as well as just a straight donation. I thought that was cool. It was interesting. I've not seen that before.
Yeah.
Anything like this.
Do you know, like, if I went to space, like, I would never stop talking about it. Like, I would bring it up in every conversation. They're like, Danny, did you do your taxes? I'm like, well, when I was in space, I didn't have to really file
Exactly. You're like, you do know I'm an astronaut, right? I mean, can you imagine putting an astronaut on your resume? I mean, it's like, you're never not going to get a job again. Like, it's a guarantee at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When I was on the moon, I was hanging out on the moon.
Yeah.
I thought about doing my taxes, but this seems so far away.
There you go.
Yeah, just didn't need to. They do have T-shirts and stuff too, and I will fully say I did buy a T-shirt, and proceeds do go to St. Jude. So
I like St. Jude.
Honestly, I do love St. Jude, and one thing that I always tell people about St. Jude, especially St. Jude, is it is the one thing that I donate to in the hopes of I never have to use it. And like St. Jude is an amazing organization, if you don't know, where it's a children's hospital that literally takes care of children, and if the parents can't afford the bills, they don't charge them. Simple as that. They don't bankrupt them. They don't take their house. They don't do all these crazy things. And if you're like watching this from London, you're probably like, whoa, American problems. I know. But like it's a real serious issue here, medical bills. And they don't charge children anything. So it's always an organization that I will absolutely support no matter what.
100%. They also pay for like housing parents, parent transportation, those kind of things. So they take a lot of weight off the parents. A lot of the worry about like, man, I can't even get to there, because sometimes you got to go to, let's say, like Atlanta or something, to like a certain hospital, and it's like, parents like, man, I got to stay in a hotel there for like 6 months. That's like going to take my life savings. They pay for everything, so it is a great charity, definitely. Yeah, one worth supporting, 100%.
Okay, well, we got one more thing, but Kevin, just ask a question and go ahead and put it in there, and then we'll see what you got.
Throw the question in chat, and we will get to those while we talk about this one last thing.
One more thing.
This is because we talk about
one more thing.
One more thing. It is a one more thing. The Apple's VR rumored headset, which now look at this.
Yep.
Could cost $3,000.
Only $3,000.
Yeah.
You said sure.
Yeah, but you got to get that chrome headband on the back, and that'll be another $2,000.
Yeah, this is going to be the base model. The base model is going to come in at $3,000. 8K displays.
Please.
Which 8K displays is an interesting rumor, and this came from the information, which apparently they're saying they got information from a true Apple insider, and they had some very detailed ideas about this, what it was, including 8K displays. Which, if you've got an Oculus, by the way, I don't know what some of the higher end headsets run, but I know an Oculus 2 runs at less than 4K over your 2i displays, so it's double what the ones they're running right now. So this is high end stuff. And that's what you would expect from them. And this is sort of this is a drawing by the information of Apple's possible mixed reality device. So this is something based on a sketch they've seen or something, I guess. So
you're probably thinking, why do I keep touting this stuff? Because what I think you're seeing from a developer standpoint, what you're seeing is the next major, what I call the screen shift. And the screen shift, when it happens, everyone makes money that does it. So if you were coding on mainframes back in the 80s, suddenly PCs came out, you switched to Windows development, you made your program, you made whatever, you made lots of money. Then in 97, the web shifts over, .com happens, everyone's making cash and doing things like that. And then there was the mobile revolution, when Steve Jobs says, everyone's going to have one of these. I laughed, I was wrong. And what I'm saying is this is the next major screen shift where it's going to go to in-glass and in-goggles. And what you have to think about as a developer is, how do I build these things? And it's basically built around game programming. And so learning game development isn't going to be this far-fetched crazy thing, because that may be the way all apps are built.
I will tell you, as someone that owns a VR, and when I bought it, the intention was this is just novelty.
Which one did you buy, by the way?
So the first one I bought was the Oculus Go, and if you're questioning buying it, don't. That's garbage. But I bought the Oculus Quest, and it's a world of a difference between the Go and the Quest. Now, I absolutely love our Quest. My son loves the Quest. He's on it literally 5 hours a day now. And what's funny is he has a Switch, he has an Xbox, and of course, maybe he's 8 years old. That's why he's finding the VR thing more exciting. But I can tell you, it is interesting when you can go into a thing and instead of using controllers, you can use your hands. You can literally use your hand gestures to select things, to grab things, to do things. And that, is beyond incredible. And the Quest 2 can play 4K, so 8K is double that. And it can play 8K, but it compresses it. But 4K, by itself, is night and day. The only thing I will say as far as, VR goes, there's no way, and I don't care who you are, there's no way you can play it hours on end without getting headaches.
100%.
Yep.
The headaches are real, and it's because the screen is so close to your face, it's bright, all this other stuff. You're going to get headaches if you play it for too long. So I don't see necessarily mobile or these other screens changing, but I definitely see, no matter who you are, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, they're in their 50s and all that. These are people that hate video games. They hate their kids, my nieces and nephews. They play their Xboxes and Switches, and literally they tell them, stop playing that, you're wasting your time. We took the VR over there, and now it's become a Saturday thing where we visit them, and they're playing because they're so into it. So it doesn't even matter if you're a gamer. The immersive experience changes everything for you, and you don't have to play shooting games or first person. You can draw in space, and you're drawing around you. That's next level for a lot of people.
Right.
And that's not something that gets tiring after a one-time usage.
I think it is one of those things. It's difficult to sell this proposition because it is something you genuinely have to experience. Because us sitting here being wow, it's amazing and it's epic, until you've put one on and played it, it's you just don't get it. You think it's just some screens in front of your face. It is so much further than that. Quest 2 was my tech purchase of 2020. Hands down, no questions asked. Best purchase. Got the most use out of it. I use it. I have an Xbox. I bought the new one. I have a multi-$1,000 PC over here that I use less than I use the Quest.
100%. Good. You know what's funny is I couldn't get my wife on board, and we took my son to this little, I don't know if you guys have this there, called Incredible Pizza. It's indoor arcade kind of place with pizza.
Okay,
for
I know
kids.
what you mean though. Yeah,
an off-brand Chuck E. Cheese.
We have Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. We got Chuck E. Cheese too. It's just it ain't the same as it was when I was a kid. But so we went in there, and they had Beat Saber on a thing that you could play, and it was like $5. And I was like, this is insane. That's $5 for one song. But my wife tried it, and after that, she's like, we're buying this. I was like, I've been asking you to let us get this for a while now, that's all it took, and boom,
got to touch it.
Even now, once you.
So I think the screen shift isn't necessarily VR, even though that's where most of the stuff's coming out in this. I really, really believe this to my core that AR is the way it's going to go eventually, and that'll leapfrog VR so that you can wear it around without walking into a tree.
Mm-hmm. So here's the deal with this thing. They're saying kind of like so. Oculus kind of has AR in the fact that they have the cameras and they have pass-through, right? So you can pass the video through. It's super low quality, like black and white, like grainy, terrible. Yeah. This thing is apparently going to have like cameras, but they're going to be higher quality. They said there's like 12. The rumor is 12 cameras on this thing, so it's going to have.
Because they want to know what's in your house. So like,
we've already told you've already told Facebook what's in your house, Daddy. Too late. You told the worst company what's in your house, But I don't care about that.
But I think the thing is, as a developer, you can think, okay, I should probably check out Unity. I should because someone's going to ask you to make something for these devices. And once it goes into the enterprise, which I call the companies, and it becomes a business use for it, there's going to be a lot of apps built for these things. So is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? I don't know. But Apple's in the game, which tells you that it's closer than 10.
Oh, definitely. The early thing for this is saying that this device is Q1 2022.
Yes. So and Microsoft will be on their third version sometime next year.
Yeah, and I believe this is a next year device. I'm 100% in on it being a next year device. You were kind of bullish thinking it was like a 2021 device. I don't think it is. I don't think we see it before the end of the year, but I do think we see it. And I think the M1 chip is the reason that we see it.
Yep.
That's why.
Well, I will also say Apple has never been the ones like we need to pioneer something. They're always the ones. First. We're late to the game, but we just make sure when we show up, we show up.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the guy that walks into the party with like 2 models on his arm. He's Tony Stark. That's who Apple is. They walk in and they drive up in the Lambo. Everyone else came in.
Now, I'll be honest. I don't know how 3,000 is going to be justified, but especially when the at least the trend is to get cheaper. Yeah. So, like for example, Oculus 2 came out $300 cheaper than the previous version. Yeah. I don't know how you're going to justify $3,000. When everyone's moving in the opposite direction.
When you talk about that, I mean, the Oculus, you're right, is it like literally 10 times better than the Oculus headset, which at the lowest end comes in at $300? It's about $299, right? I mean, that's cheap. Is it 10 times better than that? I don't know.
We'll see. I think
there's definitely some Apple fanboys and fangirls that are going to buy it. Though.
They'll line up.
There's some people that walk on. They believe Apple walks on water. Oh, there you go.
I'm in line. I'm there.
I'm gonna go to Kevin's house and play it. That's what I'm gonna do.
There you go. You know what? It would be cheaper for me to fly to Kevin and try it out than to buy it myself.
I will 100% get one. I know I will. I buy a new iPhone every year. I use Mac stuff. I'm in on that stuff. Cool. Which is the reason I buy shares in Apple too, because I believe in the product. I think the product is good. I think they're a solid company, and I think there's lots of people like me. I know there are. So that's why I invest in them. I think. Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Apple stock too. So
me too.
Not just GameStop.
My whole portfolio, my normal portfolio is so reserved, but I try to aim to get at least a 12% return year on year. So it's never risky investments. It's I need to grow with my money, not lose my money.
Exactly.
But so for me, I'm a very big believer in ETFs and index funds. I'm a very big believer in Apple stock, blue chip, and right now. Well, it was right before Biden got elected. I've been heavily purchasing green stocks because renewable energy obviously is going to be a big push of this administration as well.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely going to do it.
Definitely. Look, N17 Hero says that's not what they're going to look like, surely. Look like cheap rubber swimming goggles. I'm sure that's not going to be the final product.
Well, how could it not be with 12 cameras?
I know.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It is.
It's going to be heavy. It has to be heavy.
Which I don't know if you have this too, Danny, but that is one of my downsides to VR. Again, with playing it for a longer period of time. I don't play it for more than probably 45 minutes at a time, because not only a headache thing, but they're kind of heavy still.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get red marks right here, like red indentation marks right there.
Yeah. I bought for mine, I bought the Elite strap for it, which is supposed to alleviate some of that. I bought an extra battery pack too, which again is one of the downsides to it. The battery life is terrible.
Yeah.
And that sort of sits on the back and it sort of counterweighs it, but then the whole thing becomes kind of heavy. And it's like, if you played it for like an hour, you know you've played it for an hour. Like you know, your muscles in the back of your neck are like.
The longest I can play is probably 2 hours, but at that point it's like you're done. Like, and that's probably why the battery pack isn't long. Like you're done.
They don't want you to, and they don't want you to play for that long. They do tell you to take a 10-minute break every hour too. It's like in the little thing, whatever you call it. So.
Anyway, let's talk tech.
Let's talk tech. Actually, I want to know, did you get a new Galaxy?
So I didn't get the 21. I have the 20. I have the Note 20. So you can see here.
Did the Note 21 come out yet? Did the Note 1 come out?
Yeah, I believe it did.
Okay. Because I know they were on an off cycle for a long time. It was like the Galaxy would come out, and then the Galaxy Note would come out like 6 months later, and like on this weird 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the S10. So
there you go. I mean, Samsung is. I honestly like Samsung a lot. The only problem I had with the 21 versus. So I have the S20 Ultra. So it was like the highest version of the 20, and it did all this other stuff. But I didn't see enough of a reason to jump ship. And I think I've noticed that lately it's hard for any phone manufacturer at this stage of the game to make such innovations to where it justifies switching every model. And I think they noticed that, and I think that's a trend why phone prices are no longer $600 and they're like $1,500, because they know we're not upgrading every year anymore. Because there's just not enough. There's nothing you can do that's game changing enough to where they're like, oh my god, I gotta have this. It's not there anymore.
More cameras. That's
more cameras. Yeah, that seems to be the thing. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe battery life.
Here you go. Princess has a question for you, Danny. What inspired you to get into coding?
All right. So I'll give you a condensed version of my spiel, and the honest to God reason, the reason why I got into tech was because of a rapper. This rapper invested several $1 million into a tech company. And at this point in my life, I was 30 years old working in a gas station. And I was at a point where I was at a fork in the road where I said, if I go right, I'm going to work in this gas station until the day I die. Or if I go left, I got to change, and I got to make a change now, and I don't know what it is. And I see this interview. And he starts learning how to code. And it just blew my mind, because I never thought someone that could learn how to code could ever be someone from my kind of background. Mm-hmm. I always thought developers, programmers, well, there was no programmers or developers. It was software engineers. That's the only thing I knew, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I never knew a software engineer could be someone that doesn't have a PhD or they weren't a rocket scientist. Yeah, so he starts learning how to code, and so do I. And I didn't learn how to code because I'm like, I'm getting a job in tech. Really my idea was, I'm going to make a site, and it's going to be the best site in the world, and everybody and their mother is going to want to come to the site and buy something from the site. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew I'm going to make the site, and I need to learn how to do these things. So, and I wanted to, and I've always been attracted to technical things, like as far as technology and new innovations and things like that. And I just knew that frying chicken could not be the extent of my life.
Not unless you own that recipe, man. I mean,
honestly, even if you own it, I mean, restaurant business sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'll tell you this, that I tell people this all the time. The easiest thing I ever did in my life was honestly become a software developer. The hardest thing I did was allowing myself to know that I belong in this space. I can't tell you how many times that I just said to myself that, oh, you're not allowed to be here. Like, I would go to these interviews and I would psych myself out and say, they don't want to talk to you. They want to talk to a professional developer. They want to talk to someone with experience. They want to talk to someone that has ever been in an office. They don't want someone that has shown up to this interview and now this entire room smells like fried chicken because that's what you've been doing all day. Mm-hmm. They don't want someone like you. You don't belong here. You don't even belong in this atmosphere, this income bracket, or this industry. I told myself that for so damn long that I believed it to the core of my existence, to where I delayed my own entrance into tech. I was helping other people get jobs in tech instead of myself because I said they belong in here besides me.
Yeah.
Right.
And convincing myself that I belonged in this industry was without a doubt the hardest thing that I ever did.
Right. That's
And
a daily
once I
thing at
did-
Coder Founder. It's a daily thing.
100%. And
Yeah.
once I realized I was allowed to be in here, nothing in the universe could have stopped me then. Like nothing could have stopped me then. I was going to make sure I thrived and survived in this industry no matter what. Steve Jobs could have came and said, "You suck as a developer." I'd be like, "You know what? I don't care. I'm still going to be in here. I'm making this happen. I'm here to win. I'm going to make something so phenomenal that it's going to erase your doubts that you have in me." And simple as that. I said, it's no longer up to me to convince you. It's up to me to produce and show you that I belong here. And that's exactly what I did.
That's cool.
It's 100%
I like
what
it,
you
man.
did.
Yeah.
Here today.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for where I am. And that is why I try to be so vocal about being in this industry, because I don't know who needs to hear what I needed to hear to understand that this path exists for them.
Right.
And if it wasn't for a rapper talking about tech, I never would have learned how to code. Literally, that spark. And I think most people think, and why I'm so big about people sharing their journey, writing tweets, writing blog articles, sharing with their knowledge. You started learning HTML today, right? In a week from now, you're going to know a lot more about HTML than you did today, right?
Right.
And in a week from now, someone's going to be starting. You could share something that you learned within that 1 week alone that could help that one individual. But then, by you also sharing that, you don't know who's sitting on the sidelines looking at cat pictures and is like, oh, they come across your tech tweet and they're like, oh, well, if this person just started out and they don't have all the answers, I know I don't have all the answers. Let me check this out too.
Yeah. And that's okay.
You sharing that could genuinely change everything for them.
Yep, I think so.
Definitely. Okay. Next question, Nicholas. Is currently a CS freshman. Doesn't know what to focus on to get internships as soon as possible. Any advice?
Yeah.
I say build projects. So that's what I always say.
Honestly, internships, in my opinion, I think internships are harder than regular jobs. And the reason being is anyone that hires you for an internship knows there's a finite date that you're leaving. So it's not like we're going to keep them forever. Our goal now is almost to woo them in the hopes that they come back after graduating, right? So they know that whatever you do, if they hire you, it's only for 3 months or 2 months or whatever it may be. And you're going to leave, and whether you come back or not is a hope in the sky, right? So I think they judge people a lot harsher on internships than they do for regular full-time jobs. And I think one of the big things with internships is there's a grind that takes place. You're going to end up doing probably way more interviews than you would for a full-time job. It just comes with it. And just here's one other thing I'll tell you about internships. It doesn't necessarily matter if you get them or not. I've never seen someone that entered into tech and they were like, "Oh, you don't have internships? Shoot!" Like
No.
they're not gonna disregard you if you get them or not. I think you should definitely aspire to get them, but if you don't get them, it's not the end of the world. What you do need to do, though, I would say, number one, have a good LinkedIn profile. That I'll always recommend that for anybody. But number two, because a lot of them, you may find people hiring for internships on LinkedIn that don't necessarily talk about them. And by having a strong network that works for you, it's going to produce them for you no matter what. Number two, you have to have a good portfolio site. There's no way around that. You need to prove you know what you're talking about. You need to have your projects on there, because not only is it like, okay, this person has a portfolio site, it de-risks you. A lot of internships are risky investments for a business. They're getting someone that they don't, obviously they already know you don't know anything, right? Not to put down what you know at this point.
But that's inherent with an internship. That's that's part of the description.
Yeah. So when they have 100 people in front of them, because you're not the only person that applied for that internship. So when they have 100 people in front of them and they all know nothing, but they have 10 that have portfolio sites, those 10 have just de-risked themselves. And now you have projects that they showcase your command of the language. When you can showcase that, you've de-risked yourself further, and now you're a more attractive investment for that company as opposed to someone that doesn't know anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to tell the story that
maximizing your opportunities.
Yeah,
That's
so I want to
exactly
tell a story that happened this week, actually yesterday, and so everyone can understand this. We have a guy that's in the current cohort that somehow during the cohort got an interview at Microsoft, the big mothership. And and they looked at his resume and they looked at his LinkedIn profile, or not his LinkedIn and his resume, and they said, we think you're too junior for this, but we'll keep in touch with you and call you back. They called back 4 hours later and they said, "Oh, we just saw your portfolio. Can you come in and interview?" I promise you, people all the time hit me up and saying, "You don't know what you're talking about." I'm saying, if you show something working, like you said, it de-risks you. It puts you in a different category because they can say, well, at least he can build that or she can build that. So they kind of know where you're at. And so he's interviewing.
This is the same guy, Danny. You helped him too. So
you helped him too, the same guy. I don't want to out him because,
Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of cool.
It's very cool. Very cool. Hey, where's this quote taken? I
hope he's not watching because it's a professor friend of mine. So they were making fun of the boot camp or making fun of what I do for a living, which is I use Visual Studio, use tools. And he says, we don't teach people how to push buttons. We teach people how to make things. I was like, well, what are you making? And he goes, we made an iPad into a web server and we host websites on it. In fact, we're doing it inside the school. And I'm like, why in the heck would you make an iPad a web server? We just use real web servers at Coder Foundry.
You can always come back to the why are you doing that exactly?
Why are you doing that? That's stupid. You shouldn't. It's underpowered. There's no RAM on it. I mean, what? I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Anyway.
I thought that.
So it's kind of funny.
Okay, let me look here.
All right, cool.
There we go. This one. I love comments like this. These are my favorite things to see.
Yeah.
So Patricia said, trying to find the best time saves, but he got the job.
That's awesome.
So that's cool. So obviously both Danny and Coder Foundry helped him at some point. So that's awesome. Super.
Yeah, and so he's not a boot camp grad. He must have just watched you, probably more you than me, and then build out his portfolio and used it to get a job, I would imagine. So that's good. That's awesome.
Love it.
Honestly, I can't tell you how happy it makes me that people land jobs. And it genuinely evokes a sense of I just gotta dance. I got a happy dance for these people.
Yeah, exactly.
It genuinely makes me happy, and I'm so glad the industry is now better, Patricio, that you're in it. So congratulations and do amazing things. I can't wait to see what new levels you reach, brother.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yep, it's very cool. Very, very cool.
So Ben's got a question here. I'm gonna put this one up. I don't know if you see it, Ben Patton.
Probably haven't got down there yet.
Okay. He said, I got my first part-time gig based off the landing section on my portfolio, which is kind of crazy.
Nice.
So we apply marketing efforts into portfolio. So what we tell people, students, is it's cool to have a portfolio, but now that once you have a portfolio, what we say is now you need to step your game up. This thing should look like a rockstar portfolio, like any kind of competitive website, not just white page with a bunch of links and it's not well organized. It needs to look absolutely pro. And when it looks pro, because they're expecting it to look pro, they think you're a pro. And so I think it helps a lot.
And
so
I would
landing
say
pages, call to actions, all that stuff needs to be there.
And I would say if you don't know projects to put on your portfolio site, check out Coder Foundry. They got an amazing video on it called "One Project to Rule Them All," and I guarantee you that'll be a great place to start.
Yeah.
And actually, Ben recently got his first job too, his first full-time gig, and he's going to come on next Thursday. So we're going to talk about it next Thursday. So
let's talk about it.
So that's going to be super good. That's going to be very, very cool. Okay. Lakshan. So Tim Cook recently did a video about trying to save people's privacy from data breaching apps. What do you guys think about data collecting? What's your
I think it's deeper than that. I think they're competing with Facebook on this, so I think that's part of it.
Oh, I think that's totally part of it. They're trying to be like, well, look, the other guys are giving all your data away, and we're the guys that keep it all in house. It is a marketing ploy for them. Yeah. It's also a technical thing, but it's also a marketing thing for them. Just think about it from that way.
So we all know data is the new oil. There's a ton of money in it, and there was a test that I saw recently where they had two cell phones that were not powered to anything, right? No SIM cards, no Wi-Fi, and the amount of data that the cell phone still logged in was insane. One phone was on airplane mode, one phone wasn't. the amount of data to where it literally registers when you're exiting a car, when you're in a car, what part of the house that you're in. Like, it notices these trends and marks them down and sends it to Google and Apple and all that. So anyone that says, "Oh, we're protecting your data," they're protecting it from their competitors seeing.
Right. Not from themselves.
Yeah, they're not protecting it like, "Oh, we're protecting you from the big scary guy." No. Apple's protecting it because Google wants it, and they don't want Google to get it. So now they're like, okay, Google's going to get it from your Safari searches or something. Like, they're getting it some way, but they're just reducing the amount that they're of leverage their competitors have.
Yeah, here's my cynical worldview, Kevin, because Facebook recently sued Apple, and it's over this data thing. So they look at Facebook's business model, and they go, okay, they're taking this data that's coming off the device that we made. It's on their app, but we made the device that actually made this possible, and then they're making billions of dollars on that. This is a negotiation to say we're going to cut that off unless you give me a little cheddar. I think that's really what it's about, and it's more than the 30%. And then Facebook's like, nah, we made the app. It's our ecosystem. It's our ad platform. So we'll see where it goes. But I think they're all collecting data. I don't think anyone's worried about privacy.
And I agree. It is the new oil. There is way too much money in it. Way too much money in it. Every ad that you get now is based on some action you've taken. It's so personalized.
I mean, I think that's a big deal as to reasons why online conversion rates have increased. Like, when you're getting ads relative to what's necessary to you, you're more likely to buy it than just seeing a random ad.
Of course, and I agree. That is why conversions are up. That is why it's because it's now, it's not just, it's like hyper targeted, like, because you can, I mean, the whole conspiracy around just talking to your phone, but that thing is true. You can, like, we'll talk about like diapers or something. I'll get an Instagram ad for diapers. I don't care what you say. I don't have children, nothing, but I will get an Instagram ad for diapers. It's like, they have this like plausible deniability around, like, we don't listen to your conversations, like, because
they do.
I liken it to like somebody at Facebook says, we don't listen to your conversations, but there's somebody in like this deep basement in Facebook that's just like, actually we do, but he doesn't know about it, so we're not going to tell him.
Right, exactly.
It's too targeted. It just is. So it is a thing, and you're right. You're going to get more conversions when the ads that you get presented are directly like what you're buying. Like, it's of course it's a given. That's how it works. It's an interesting space for sure.
All right, cool.
Okay. So next question here. Here you go. Ben said, similar experience here, imposter syndrome on top of the struggle to get the first job. Mm-hmm. You're not out there on your own, Ben. You're in with everybody. Everybody has that.
I've yet to meet a professional at any level that hasn't experienced imposter syndrome, or they don't experience it right now. Like, I can tell you, for whatever reason, for me, like, I'm very confident in my coding abilities. I've created some amazing things. I've created solutions that have literally saved the company millions of dollars. But if a code review is coming up, I break into a sweat. Mm-hmm. Like, for whatever it is about a code review, I'm like, today's the day they figure it out. Today's the day they figure out that I'm a total fake. Like, something about a code review.
I saw that on Stack Overflow, Danny. What are you doing?
That's funny.
No, I think imposter syndrome even comes to me. I've been around this for a long time. I've been coding a long time. But, like, sometimes I'll watch talks, and I'm like, dang, okay. I mean, I need to step my game up. I don't know what that guy knows. But I think the thing, Ben, you need to realize is that people specialize in all these areas. And somehow for us, when we look at someone else, we're like, oh, I have to be an expert in all of these things.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, this is what I know. Let me apply what I know in the marketplace and quit looking at what some guy gives a talk on JavaScript. And you're like, man, I didn't know you could do that with the Fetch API. Like, I must quit my job now. I'm going to tell my boss.
It's true. If you compare yourself to other people, you're always going to be inferior because you're going to compare yourself on this one tangent. Right? Like, you're comparing yourself on this, like, oh, this guy's better at JavaScript than I am. He probably doesn't know anything about C#. You're probably up here compared to him. Or even if he knows everything about everything, he's the only guy on the planet that does. So everybody else is inferior to him.
I mean, we had a guy on here, Chris Sanity, we're talking about Blazor, and I can remember I thought I knew a lot about Blazor. We've been Chris Sandy on. I'm like, man, I need to go read some books right now. I'm like, this cat, he knows exactly what he's doing. So,
one thing I say quite often is every senior developer in a subject is a junior developer in another. Like
Yeah.
you'll never ever meet a senior developer that knows everything about everything. But the other thing is, don't compare yourself to other developers on social media and YouTube and all these places. Number one, why are you worried about their momentum when their paychecks do nothing to your light bill?
Yeah.
Like whatever they're creating, whatever they're earning, it doesn't change your momentum. Focus on your momentum is going to keep you pivoting and going at a faster rate. Number one. Number two, it's social media, right? Maybe they had a head start. Maybe they're fast learners, or maybe again, it's social media. Maybe they're lying. Like a lot of people lie on social media, and I try to be very open about this. I am not the best developer at all. Like I am far from it. Only thing I try to do is be better than I was yesterday. Simple as that. I don't care if it's half a fraction of a percent better than yesterday. That is the only thing I'm striving for.
Yep.
There's people that are absolute geniuses. There are people that I absolutely look up to. But if you compare yourself constantly, I'll never be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm going to do now? I'm going to be like, better never pick up a basketball again. Like, no, there are people that have these accolades because they focus on that one thing. But I guarantee you, I'll beat Michael Jordan's ass in golf and baseball and all these other.
He'd probably bet you on
he
that.
Played baseball. He didn't know. Remember that one season he retired?
Yeah. So don't worry about someone that specializes in one thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that just because they're great at one thing, they're amazing at other things.
Yep.
Just focus on yours, and I guarantee you becoming better will make you better.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to think I could beat Michael Jordan in like a game of Population 1 on VR. I could beat him at something.
I guarantee you I beat Michael Jordan in Call of Duty or any first-person shooter.
That's a call out, Michael Jordan.
I'll put all my GameStop shares on that.
we're gonna tune in here next week, and like as you guys are doing the live stream, Michael Jordan walks in like, "What you say?"
And then he proceeds to wipe the floor with me.
We probably win. He's gonna spend all week just dedicated on this. Like, that's funny.
But think of the views.
Oh, it would be good.
Exactly.
Bass guitarist, cool. Starts his first job on Monday. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you've been hanging around here for a while. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Awesome. Good job.
Let me see. I did have another good one here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Cole wants to know what's the benefit of learning jQuery when trying to get into WordPress development field? The benefit of learning... I mean, I don't know. The benefit of learning jQuery, period, at this point, is still kind of like... It's still relevant, right?
It's mainstream, but not hot.
Right. It's mainstream, so it's
jQuery,
like... Sorry,
I think... I hate ever saying that a language is dying.
Yeah.
But it is definitely losing its footing in the field in a major way, to where even a company like mine, we just spent literally like the last 6 months removing all jQuery period.
Oh wow! So you're actively so it's not only you're not just developing something with it new, you're actively removing from an existing product.
Yeah. So that is the only reason why unless you specifically are going for a role that asks for it, I would not spend any extra effort trying to learn it. I would learn a more in-demand framework or library like Angular, like React. I know Angular is not everyone's favorite, but it's definitely where the jobs are when you're looking at Fortune 500 companies. And I guarantee you, if you're going for a React role and you know Angular, they won't throw you away. They'll at least have a conversation with you because you could learn it. If you know Angular, you can learn React. And if you know React, you can learn Angular. So if you know one or the other, I would, if it was my choice, I'm using React now. I love React. There's definitely where the jobs are. But if my goal was to work for a Fortune 500, I'd probably learn Angular instead. It really depends on what your goal is.
So I think if you're going to learn something right now, Cole, and you just want to teach yourself something like jQuery, TypeScript's the one you should learn right now.
Yes.
So that's the one where React is TypeScript. So like that's where that kind of framework is kind of going. So
okay,
but
cool.
WordPress is different.
Restless Tinkerer says, this is a good question. Planning out an app and ideas keep coming in to make it better. Sorry, scope creep a little bit. How do you prevent the planning phase from ballooning the application to 10 times the initial idea?
So what's your MVP? So talk about your minimal viable product. What is the minimal thing that you need to do to launch this thing? What I've been telling a lot of people that are in my sphere is I have 3 words I'm telling everyone now is just ship it, which means that Get the thing into a position to where you can actually put it in the marketplace and try to start making money. Then come back with phase 2, 3, 4, and 5 with all the other things. Write them all down. All that is are probably good, but stay on that MVP range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, my rule of thumb is always, and to use the same word, I was going to use a different word, but shipping is a better sounding word. Strive for being able to ship it. If you strive for perfection, it'll never be released.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Never.
ship it and then create better iterations, but get it out there first. If you strive for perfection, no one in the world will ever see your application.
No,
Yeah.
This goes for, so I'll bring this to my world too, because this goes the same for me. Creating a video, if you want to perfect it, you'll never ever release it. Never.
Right.
These guys making movies, man. They'll make a movie. They'll never put a movie out because it's never the way they want it to be. Hence director's cuts. Right? They'll come back to it 2 years later and they'll be like, oh, I want the director cut because it's like, I want it to be this. And it's like that Zack Snyder Justice League cut we'll never see at this point. It's like, it's coming. It's always coming. You can't put a stake in it. And that's true in this.
Put a stake in it, ship it out, and you should be better off. You'll be better.
Yep.
Oh, one thing I'll say is like all of the ideas that you have for your product, especially if you're releasing a product for consumption of the masses, a consumer grade product, all the ideas that are in your head, once you release it, your customers will tell you what needs to be in it. And a lot of times, the ideas that you think are important are absolutely irrelevant to the customer base. They'll typically come out and tell you 10 things you haven't thought of, and you're like, oh, that is good. I'll do that instead of doing A, B, and C.
Yeah, the one thing you spend 6 months trying to fix, they don't even care.
No one cares. No one cares. So.
Yeah. Let me see. There you go. Kevin has an opinion about the phones listening. They're active listening, but it's recording. My Google history has several audio recordings of me getting in and out of a car. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of weird things that go on with phones.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
I'm going to get diaper ads today. That's for sure. My phone is sitting right here.
If I get one, I'm going to tweet about it, so you'll see it. If I get one, Instagram
ads for diapers.
I predict
at this point we all know.
I know, just like don't clean. It's okay.
Just tell us, man. Just tell us. Don't lie to me, man. Come on, man. We know you're listening.
Yep.
So
here we go. So Troy says focusing on a particular stack is the toughest thing, especially when looking through the Indeed postings.
So my rule with that is he's not wrong, and I wouldn't look at Indeed as an indicator of what to learn, because Indeed is a grocery list. Like, I'll tell you right now, if they ever got someone that matched 100% of that job ad, like, that's a robot. Like, that's not a person.
Yeah.
Like, and I think they do that. I can tell you, especially for my first job in tech, everybody was advertising, 4 years experience, 3 years experience, whatever. I never even look at that. Like, I just apply. And that's kind of my rule. Just apply. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, they say no, cool, you're in the same position you were beforehand anyway. What's the best case scenario? They say yes. Or at the very least, you have an opportunity to have a conversation to show how valuable you really are. If you know the main languages that they're looking for, like, look at the underlying main language. Is it Python? Is it Java? Is it C#? What is it? Like, forget about the miscellaneous randoms. Find those key ones that they're looking for, and if you can get the complementary things around that, perfect. If you know at least I'd say 30 to 50% of what they're looking for, apply. Apply. You can't go wrong if you apply. But also, what I always advertise and why you should have a good LinkedIn profile, talk to the people that work there. You can find people on LinkedIn that you can network with, and you can ask them, hey, what's the stack that you use? That is exactly what I found out, what I did. And the main 10 companies that I wanted to work for, they all use Java Angular. And Java is not big in Memphis. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. It is not big at all. It's a C# town. But the 10 companies I wanted use Java. So that is exactly what I would learn. I learned the exact stack, Java, Angular, and that's when I started applying. Talk to people that are working there and see what is the main thing that you're using. And when you know that, I guarantee you a company will hire you and you can learn the rest.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're right.
That's it. Let's do one more before we wrap up here. We're coming to the hour. So Simba wants to know, if I'm in web dev currently and want to prepare to move up to C# web dev, what should I be studying besides basics? Since those are basic, so the real question is which .NET is best to learn? What's up for a job right now?
I'll take this one. So there's only one .NET really to learn right now. It's called .NET 5, and Microsoft has confused it with the naming. So like when you see .NET Core 3.1, just know that .NET 5 is the newer version of that. Now, a lot of the companies out there may be advertising .NET Core 3.1 because that's what they're on right now. But you still want to learn .NET 5 because those skills translate directly into 3.1. If you see .NET 4.5 framework, just realize that is pre-.NET Core. But I would still learn .NET 5 right now. That's what I would learn today, right now.
There's a quick little follow-up too. What else besides .NET does he need to learn as well?
I think you need to focus on ASP.NET. That's to build websites with. So that's what you focus on, ASP.NET, and then you'll learn C# to do that. If you want to build Windows, it's WPF.
You'd also some front-end framework with this too, Angular, React, one of those.
You can learn React C#, kind of like what Danny's doing. They're doing React, Java, it's the same kind of thing. What you want to learn there in ASP.NET is Web API. That's the thing that gives you the back end that can talk to all these JavaScript front-end frameworks. And in fact, in Visual Studio, you can fire up Visual Studio and start up a React project if you want to, or an Angular project. So it's all supported.
You can use vanilla JavaScript. It doesn't matter on the front end.
Yeah.
It all works. You just need to figure out how to communicate the back to the front, and then the rest is history. You can use whatever.
You can use whatever you want.
It's going to be one quick chance to talk about this, Danny, too, at the end here. I know you answered this in chat, but
yeah,
you have a cool thing.
An example of a good profile, mine. But
give me a follow.
But honestly, and he asked one question earlier that I think we skipped, and it's what's the number one most common thing that I see people doing wrong on LinkedIn? And I'll tell you right now, take out aspiring developer from your header, your headline. Your headline is one of the first things that shows up in a search. No one, literally no one, has woke up today saying, I'm hiring an aspiring developer. They're not searching for that. Yeah. They're searching for, I need a React developer. I need a MERN stack developer. I need a C# developer.
Would you hire a aspiring magician for your...
Exactly. Take the aspiring out and replace that with what you know and you're trying to get hired for. And that will end up in far more searches. That alone is going to help you in searching as compared to other things. But I can tell you, if you need help with LinkedIn, I have an entire series where we go over 40 different profiles that are both good and bad. And I go over them with 4 different hiring managers to showcase exactly what they search for, to showcase how they're searching for applicants, and what parts of your profile actually pop up in that search so you can optimize them. That series alone in the last 2 months, literally December and January, right? These are the worst times for hiring, and over 50 people landed jobs in that just off of landing in LinkedIn searches. Mm-hmm. Like, you owe yourself to spend a few hours going over that LinkedIn series that is completely free. I leave it on free on purpose because I literally want you to get that job, but you owe it to yourself to get it and to make your profile valuable so that way it works for you. You can't always be working to get jobs. Make your profile work for you so you're landing in those searches so you don't have to always actively work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, definitely. I think you make a good point too. Seeing or understanding what the recruiter sees is super important, because when they do that search and it comes up and it's just a list of people, like what in that list do they see? Because they're not seeing your whole profile. They're not seeing what certifications you've put at the bottom of your profile or you've buried in there. They're seeing 2 or 3 pieces of data. I think you're right. Maximizing those 2 or 3 pieces of data is key.
So the average hiring manager spends 6 to 10 seconds on a LinkedIn profile before they decide, I will invest more time reading this or I'm on to the next. You have to think about something, like sincerely think about it. And I think people lose track of this, right? When you are applying for a job or when someone is searching for an applicant, you're not the only person on that list, or it's not 10 people. Like every recruiter I ever talked to, they look at thousands of people a week. Thousands. You have 6 seconds before you become a forgotten memory. Make those 6 seconds count. Put your information in the most easily accessible way possible so that way they understand who you are and they understand, I should dig in more. Give them the reason to dig in. If you don't give them the reason, you're forgotten already. Do you know how many people you walk by on the subway or on the street or in a shopping mall that you forgot after looking at their face? It's the same thing here. If you don't give them a reason to remember you, why would they ever do that? Give them that reason to realize that you're valuable. Give them that reason to show that you're valuable on a team, and I guarantee you they're going to sign a paycheck with your name on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% right. All right. Awesome, man. Well, Danny, we loved it, man. We loved you being here, man. I'll be in Memphis virtually I can't get your barbecue by doing it virtually. That's the only thing I miss out by not going there.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. We'd get you plenty fat. Trust me. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a testament to it.
But anyway, I'll see you. We'll be in touch soon, and I'll get ready for that .NET thing on the 24th of February. So I'm looking forward to that. Follow Danny at Danny Thompson Dev. See him on Twitter, LinkedIn. I think you got some courses. Any course you want to plug there? I know you got a course there.
I got a course on growing on social media. I have the LinkedIn series, which is completely free, but I have the one on Twitter. It's over 400 sales now and growing. And I just love seeing the people that have bought it. I have people that bought it that had 7 followers. And like a couple months ago, they bought it. And now when I look at it, they got 10,000, 15,000, 20,000.
Right.
So it's
I'm going to buy that.
I'm going to buy it too because I've got 476.
I don't use Twitter.
You know?
Yeah. It's basically, I went from literally 300 followers to 30,000 in 3 months. And now it's well over 60,000 and growing every single day. And honestly, like it's the same things that I do all the time, but it shows not just like how to how I structure a post and it shows the biggest pitfalls of most people, but it's mainly the analytical side. Like what posts do the best? Like what time frame should you be aiming for? What are the analytics of a good post? What are the analytics of bad posts? It helps you learn from your own methods and pivot to what works.
Okay. You got 2 customers today.
There you go.
Awesome.
So, all right, cool. Well, Danny, enjoyed it. Thanks for all the advice. And thank you guys for coming and watching us like you do every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Tuesday.
Yep.
I should have a video out tomorrow if I can get it done. So I'm writing some code for it. So hopefully I can get that done today.
Cool.
We'll release it out.
And we will see
All
you
right.
guys Tuesday.
All right, see you.
There you go.
Keep luck. Keep
Take it
coding.
easy.